Hello chess friends and welcome to your of Chess channel and welcome back to the FIDE World Fischer Random Chess Championship in 2022. So we're now in the second day of this beautiful chess event and we're following now a beautiful game between Magnus Carlsen and Matthias Bluebaum. So yesterday it was warm and cold, I think, for Magnus Carlsen. Magnus played, I think, really great chess yesterday. He played really active, aggressive, really sharp chess with many gambits, with really attractive ideas, but his outcome was not good because he made this huge blunder against Hikaru Nakamura, lost his game against Hikaru Nakamura, and has some trouble now to maybe get it to the semifinals. He has to win now the game against Matthias Bluebaum here in order to get it really to the best four players in the FIDE Fischer Random Chess Championship. So let's see now what happened. The first game that Magnus Carlsen and Matthias Bluebaum played, Magnus Carlsen won. It was the game where Magnus played with the black pieces. Now we're following the game where Magnus Carlsen has the white pieces in the same position against here Matthias Bluebaum, who is also a respectful and strong grandmaster. So let's see now what happens. So Magnus opened here with the move e4, which is really a beautiful idea in the beginning because it's almost like sort of an invitation to maybe to go into some king's gambit structures, of course, but it's not the same because it's a Fischer Random position. But in my opinion, really already a beautiful idea. The queen gets out, we can also advance this pawn. So basically in the beginning here Magnus Carlsen wants to open his light square bishop and the dark square bishop. So we have now d5, and now Magnus goes into sort of Dutch structures. He's trying to occupy here the weak square e5. He's trying to, of course, cement the position around this square, but it's of course also risky to play advanced pawns like this because you're leaving also spaces behind. Now Magnus Carlsen has a weakness in the position, which is of course now the weak e4 square. So we have now e6 by Bluebaum. We have now g4. Magnus plays now first three moves with his pawns. He's advancing now here on the king side. We have now bishop to d6 and now e3. So as I said, Magnus can really build up here a slow attack. He could maybe maneuver somehow the knight here to the square e5, but the downside is, as we said, the weak square in the position. In the near future, the position can be broken with the move c5. Also in the near future, maybe black can also advance the pawn on g5. So it's so far a firm structure, but in the near future it can be broken, of course, by some pawn moves of black. So we have here knight to b6, normal development, knight to b3, also by Magnus Carlsen, knight to g6 by Bluebaum, and now also knight to g3. So you see, in the beginning everyone is trying to get the first of all the pieces out, is trying to search for new opportunities for the pieces, is trying to search for the best square for the minor pieces, is trying simply to develop the pieces and also then secure the king by castling. So in the continuation we have queen to f8, bishop to d3 by Magnus Carlsen, and now bishop to d7. So c5, if you play here too early, I've analyzed this line and was very curious what would have happened if you, for instance, play the move c5. D takes c5 leads into complications for white because after knight to c5, queen to c5, there is this move, knight to h5, leads into complications because now it's really hard to defend the pawn on g7. You can do it, of course. You can, of course, retreat with the queen here on f8, but you don't want to use your queen, of course, just in order to protect one pawn. In my opinion, this would be a risky choice. Still, white is continuing then also the game with the bishop pair. This could be then a devastating position. In my opinion, this is a much better position for white. So that's why after move bishop to d3, black here Bluebaum didn't decide to break the position immediately. He played also solid development with the move bishop to d7. So Magnus advances here the queen to f1. In the continuation we have now rook to e8 and now f5, and this is quite a risky choice by Magnus Carlsen because he's opening the position, and as we said, there is this weak square e4 here that Magnus Carlsen has, but this is also a weak pawn that Magnus Carlsen has here, and this was really a brave choice. But when we think about it harder, this is really a cool choice by Magnus Carlsen. So Magnus played here really aggressively in the center, although this move is a breakthrough, but as I said, it suddenly opens the e file, and now the pawn on e3 could be a vulnerable square in the position. Also the e4 square could be then a strategic problem here in white's camp. So it was a brave idea, but in my opinion it really spiced up the game. Now from this point on, the game became really tactical. So in the continuation we have now e takes f5, knight to f5, and now queenside castling. So you see, in Fischer Random chess you can of course secure the king like this, queenside castling, castling is, in my opinion, perfect move here for black, because from this point on, I think black has a solid position. Black is now really a position that could maybe happen in normal chess. Now you see the knight is here, the knight is also developed, the bishops are quite good, the rooks are on active files, the queen is maybe a little bit paralyzed here on f8, but the queen you should not, of course, use in the beginning of any chess games, because when the queen gets too early out, then of course the queen can be exposed. So far the queen, okay, maybe it's not the most active queen, but the queen is at least protected, and at least cannot be attacked by white's activity. But this knight is something that I think black doesn't want to tolerate. This knight on f5 is a good knight, so that's why here in the continuation I have moved queenside castling. Magnus simply continues the pressure with move h4, and Bluebaum decided to get rid of this annoying knight of f5, simply traded off the bishop for a knight. After queen to f5, you have a check, king to b8, and now we have h5. So still this pawn on e3 is weak, still this pawn, square on e4 is weak, but Magnus is not allowing here black to exploit these weaknesses. Now after move h5, here we have knight to e7 by Bluebaum. There is also a beautiful line that here Bluebaum maybe missed, but this would be a drawish line, so it's not a line that leads into a favorable game for black. It's a line that could force maybe a perpetual draw, because after knight to f4 you can of course take e takes f4, but now actually the queen gets a little bit trapped here. So here g6 can be played. Now you have to move the queen, and now with the move bishop to e7, look at this, bishop to d6, bishop to d6, and again after queen to g5, again with bishop to e7, the queen has only these two squares, and you can just hope for a draw here. You can do some perpetuals and the game would end in a draw. But Bluebaum lost his first game against Magnus Carlsen, so that's why he probably didn't want to play this line. Probably he saw that maybe he could do this, but he wanted maybe to get the win against Magnus Carlsen. So that's why after move h5 we have knight to e7, queen to f3, knight to c6, and after move c3, queen to e7, we have bishop to f2. So you see Magnus still has problems with his backward pawn on e3. We have now a5, and now finally with the move knight to d2, Magnus solves, I think, every position problem now, because he can suddenly advance the pawn on e4, and I think this is a good game now for white. White has opportunities to play really actively in the center, can of course also compete now on the e file. The pieces are very good because they're centralized. You see the bishop on d3 is a good piece. The bishop on f2 can be in the near future improved maybe on this diagonal. The knight is centralized. The queen is now very active. So with a couple of maneuvers, Magnus Carlsen had now, I think, a really good game. So Magnus knows really how to improve his pieces, how to get a good setup here. Magnus Carlsen is, I think, really one of the best players in chess history when it comes to understanding positions, when it comes to searching for opportunities for his minor pieces. From this point on, I think white has a much better game. So in the continuation, Bluebaum tried a4. He tried, of course, somehow to attack the position on the queen side, because Magnus Carlsen didn't castle, although it seems like a castle position here that white is here, but still the rooks are not connected, so the king is standing in the way. We have a disconnection of the rook, so that's why here after move e4 and d takes e4, knight to e4, and queen to e6, Magnus castled king side. So you see now he finished his development, because there are this common 3 stages of the development. You should first of all develop your minor pieces, then you should of course secure the king by castling, and also you should connect your rooks. That's this 3rd stage, and now finally Magnus Carlsen has really fully developed himself, and now he has, as I said, really good setup. Although again, it seemed to me that this is risky, because you have already advanced here the pawn structure in front of the king. Maybe here Bluebaum should have played g6. In my opinion, this would be a good choice for black now to open the position somehow, then to play rook to g8. That would be, I think, a good continuation. Here black should have, I think, also great attacking chances, but unfortunately Bluebaum played a risky queen to a2, and here Magnus Carlsen trapped actually the queen. Maybe the queen is not immediately trapped, but you see how really bad the queen on a2 is, because here Magnus plays a beautiful b3, locks now this b file. The queen cannot escape anymore on this diagonal, and there are no basically two choices that black can play. Black can play a3 or black can play a takes b3. In the game, a3 was played by Bluebaum, but let's see also what happens if you play a takes b3 here. If you play this, then rook to a1 is going to happen. You have to play queen to b2, and now after rook to b1, you see the queen is trapped. You cannot take out the pawn on c3. It's protected. There is no good square on the second rank. You can just, I think, give up the queen for a rook, and then again it's game over for black. So in the game, after move b3, here we have a3 by Bluebaum, but again rook to e1 was played by Magnus Carlsen, and we have here now knight to d5, and now after rook to e2, again a similar position happens. Still the queen is trapped. This is a little bit better outcome for black because here Bluebaum found the best continuation, queen to e2. We have bishop to e2. Now Bluebaum sacrificed here the rook for the exchange, but has now this tactical shot. But it's simply not working because Magnus simply retreated, queen to d3, knight to b1, queen to b1, knight to b4. Here Bluebaum tries now to play annoying stuff like b2, maybe trying also promotion on a1, but it's not working because Magnus simply gets out of the mess, attacks simply the pawn. We have now the rook to e8, king to f1, protecting now the bishop on e2, a2, and now after move bishop to e1 is the knight it's attacked, so it's also not working. We have here now knight to d5, and after queen to a2 in this position, Matthias Bluebaum simply resigned. So there is not a good way anymore to attack the position. You don't have any chances. Magnus Carlsen has now the queen for the rook, and this should be completely winning. So okay, Magnus Carlsen won out 2 games, lost the game against Hikaru Nakamura in the group stage, but will now advance into the semi-finals. I'm not sure against whom he's going to play, but I'm really glad that Magnus made it through this to the semi-finals, because I think now this tournament is really heating up. We'll see, I think, some great players. Nordirbek Abdulsadorov is playing really great chess when it comes to Fischer Random chess. He's maybe even one of the favorites to win the whole thing, because Nordirbek yesterday won his games against Jan Nepomniachtchi and also against Vasily So, which is really, really incredible. The young fellow has really great chances to maybe be the winner of the new Fischer Random Chess Championship. So it will be really a heated tournament, and Magnus Carlsen, as I said, now is in the semi-finals. He has a deserved win because here also he played really, really brilliant chess. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed the game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas, how Magnus first pulled off this stonewall setup, then played sort of a backward pawn strategy, advanced the pawn, found really good opportunities then to create this good setup. Really good stuff. If you want to see more of this beautiful Fischer Random chess games, check out also our coverage of the tournament so far with some other great games. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what to say, chess is the best, of course.